Hey everyone, welcome to another World 9 review, where I review the latest games that have hit store shelves. Today's subject is the nuclear-covered and mutant-infested Metro: Last Light. This game is the sequel to the previous game Metro 2033, and continues the story of Artyom. But before I get into what this post-apocalyptic game has to offer, I must start with the World 9 parental guide. Parents, Metro: Last Light is rated M for mature for the following reasons: blood, intense violence, nudity, sexual content, strong language, and use of drugs and alcohol. I'll give you a brief example of each so you're aware of what your kids are playing, or just as a warning before you make a purchase. When you kill anything in Metro: Last Light, expect to see some blood splatter, both with humans and with mutants. As for intense violence, there are moments where Artyom executes his enemies, violently. This next example falls under nudity and sexual content. There is a moment where players can pay to have an exotic dancer give them a private dance naked, so do be aware of this. Several of the characters use extreme language in this game, including the F-word and the S-bomb. Finally, your character has several points where he can partake in alcohol beverages and a hookah. I don't recommend anyone under the age of 17 to play this game due to the content. Parents, if you don't think this type of game is for your child, I definitely say stay clear. And with the parental guide covered, let's get into what Metro: Last Light has to offer. Admittedly, I've never played the previous game, so I'll be describing this game as a newcomer to the series. First, the story. I'll try to describe this game without giving away too many plot lines. If you think this could ruin the game for you in any way, please look at the time code at the bottom right of the screen and skip to that part in the video. For those of you unfamiliar with the previous game, Metro: Last Light takes place in the metro systems beneath the desecrated land that has now become the uninhabitable Russia. You begin the game as Artyom, who's been having eerie nightmares lately. He's awoken by his old comrade, Khan, who tells him that he's spotted a Dark One near the location where the previous game ended. From that point, you head on over to the arsenal and get some beginning weapons. There's a shooting range tutorial that helps you familiarize yourself with the gunplay of the game. You then head towards an elevator that will take you to the upper level. After hearing the dialogue exchange of some characters, you meet up in what appears to be a briefing chamber. When you enter the chamber, Colonel Miller wants to know what Khan is planning. Khan reveals that he wants Artyom to accompany him to the surface because he believes Artyom has a connection with the Dark Ones. The Colonel says it's fine at first because he wants the Dark One dead. However, Khan is against killing the Dark One.
Restrain him! You idiot! You're making the same mistake that...
Colonel Miller has Khan escorted and sends a sniper along with you so that you can eliminate the remaining Dark One. The sniper just happens to be the Colonel's daughter, Anna. You and Anna travel to the surface where she covers you while you search for the last Dark One.
Head on in and look for the creature.
You encounter some mutated beasts along the way, but eventually you see it, the Dark One. After chasing the fast creature, you catch it. Once caught, the Dark One is able to tap into your mind, where he shows you a vision of, well, play the game and you'll find out. It took me about 10 hours over the span of 3 days to beat this game. Please note I was on hardcore mode. The game should last you a decent amount of time, especially if you're an achievement or trophy hunter. Last thing, there are 2 separate endings, but I'll let you discover each one on your own. But enough of the story, let's talk about the gameplay. Just as a warning, this game does not have multiplayer, so that may take away some of the replay value. However, that doesn't mean you shouldn't pick up the game. Metro: Last Light has other things besides multiplayer to offer, like its intensity. I found that ammo was slightly hard to come by, but I knew it was harder to come by in Ranger mode. You are pitted against some nasty creatures, but also some ruthless humans as well. Although you're tempted to run guns blazing into the fray, sometimes sneaking around is better. When you're hidden behind someone, you can choose to kill them or knock them out. I try to be a good guy in games, so I just knock them out, but there are those times where a bullet to the face is the best course of action. Sneaking up on someone will do you no good if you're spotted. Your wristwatch has a light detector that will light up to indicate that you're exposed to a moderate to a large source of light. The best way to sneak is to press the crouch button to minimize the amount of noise you make. If you're like me and want to sneak around, there's a handy feature that lets you unscrew light bulbs and blow out gas lamps. This will remove your exposure to light, allowing you to be a sneaky assassin.
Hey.
Your enemies are smart in the fact that if they hear you lurking around or see one of their fallen comrades, they will come look for you and be on high alert. There were a few points in the game where I didn't crouch, and they heard me walking on the wooden floors. When your enemies search for you, you can either wait it out or take them out. It's up to you. Another cool feature of the game is the gas mask. You have filters that you must replace when you're in an area that is hard for Artyom to breathe. You can tell when a filter is depleting because your watch will beep and you'll hear Artyom struggle to breathe. If you don't change your filter and you're out of spare ones, he will take off his gas mask and you won't have much longer until you suffocate. You also have a flashlight in Metro Last Light. I have trouble seeing dark things in games, so I made sure to turn up the brightness on my game to help, so I rarely use the flashlight, but it did come in handy at some points. The med kits you have in the game resemble shots of adrenaline. These can be quite handy when you're running low on health. If you're ever lost and need to know where you are or where you need to go, you have a mission log that has a built-in compass. The green arrow points to where you need to head next. When you have this board out, you also have your lighter out. It can be used to see your mission log, but also to set things ablaze, like torches or spider webs. Because you're a ranger, you can carry up to 3 weapons in the game. Each weapon can be customized to do different things. These things range from silencing a weapon to making it more accurate. There are vendors randomly throughout the game that will sell and trade weapons for you to use. At some point, you can even buy just ammo, but keep in mind, ammo can more or less be scarce in this game. Try different weapons to see which ones interest you best. There are shotguns, pistols, sniper rifles, and more. In addition to firearms, you also have secondary weapons at your disposal. This includes pipe bombs, incendiary pipe bombs, claymores, and throwing knives. There are a few other gameplay aspects that I'll only touch lightly on because I want you to get an overview of what Metro Last Light has to offer. For example, there are moments where the game turns slightly into a rail shooter. And as I touched basis on earlier, Ranger Mode is basically the hardest version of Metro Last Light, but you need the code in the game to unlock it. Judging by the description, it's only for master players. Now for the pros and cons. The game kept me entertained, there's no doubt about that. There was even a moment where I ran out of ammo completely and had to rely on running to save my hide. It was intense, and at times I didn't have a moment to think. I had to act fast. The gunplay was also fun and not too complicated. The game offered enough realism that made me in tune with Artyom and made me feel like I was him. As you can see here, they really made the first-person perspective come to life. One of my biggest complaints of the game was that the X button not only functioned as the reload button, but also the action button. I would try to turn off a light and press X, but instead it would reload my weapon. True, you got to be careful when you're lining up your character to perform an action, but I think that having those two functions on the same button wasn't a good idea. Also, the game froze for me. A lot. It wasn't an issue with my Xbox because I haven't had that happen for a very long time. And judging by what I read online, I wasn't the only one who had this issue. Lastly, there were times when I would walk right into the line of someone's sight, but they wouldn't see me. Overall, I thought the game was fantastic, and I plan to pick up the previous game to play it as well. In terms of its rating, World 9 Review gives it an 8.5. If you like a good shooter with a unique storyline, play Metro Last Light. If you like it enough, read the books that it was based off of. I hope you enjoyed my review, and look out for other recently released games to be analyzed by World 9 Review.